The training hall buzzed with the restless energy of young recruits. Their scales shimmered with the iridescence of youth, unmarked by the brutal trials of war. Laughter and idle chatter bounced off the stone walls, their voices a symphony of innocence and naivety. These were the galaxy's future warriors, eager and untested. For now, the horrors of combat existed only in the training simulations, and death was just a hypothetical construct. The door creaked open, and silence fell like a sudden storm. All eyes turned toward the figure that stepped into the room, a veteran of countless campaigns, his presence as imposing as his reputation. His crimson scars crisscrossed his weathered carapace, each one a testament to battle survived. One of his arms bore the jagged, artificial gleam of cybernetic augmentation, while his piercing gaze seemed to weigh every recruit's soul. The recruits shifted uncomfortably under his scrutiny. Gone was the chatter, replaced by nervous whispers and exchanged glances. The grizzled war hero, known only as Commandant Verrill, began to speak in a voice worn by years of hardship. There are lessons your instructors cannot teach. There are enemies charts cannot prepare you for. His voice darkened, and he leaned forward. You've been taught warfare, but what you don't know is why we learn never to cross humans. The veteran paused, letting his words sink into the young recruits' minds. Before you understand humanity, you must understand what a death world is, he began. The room, already silent, seemed to hold its breath. These are planets where survival itself is a victory, environments that breed life forms with instincts honed like blades, where every day is a struggle against nature's wrath. He gestured toward a holographic globe projected in the center of the room. It spun to reveal a blue-green planet, Earth. This is humanity's cradle, a world of searing deserts, frozen tundras, relentless storms, and ravenous predators. Earth erupts with disasters, quakes, floods, and volcanoes that can annihilate entire regions. Yet humanity thrived here, becoming predators and prey in equal measure. The recruits exchanged nervous glances. A predator shaped by such chaos, they realized, was unlike anything they had faced. Humans evolved in a crucible of unpredictability, Verrill continued. Take Earth's climate, a planet of extremes. From suffocating jungles where venom drips from every leaf to barren wastelands that strip flesh from bone. Their skies birth tempests capable of uprooting trees and shattering stone. And then there are the creatures, apex predators like wolves, great cats, and behemoths from their seas, the kind that would render most species extinct. He paced slowly, his clawed footsteps echoing in the chamber. Yet humans conquered it all. Their adaptability made them survivors. Their resourcefulness turned obstacles into opportunities. Against a storm, they built shelter. Against predators, they wielded tools, fire, and cunning. Where other species might perish or flee, humans endured and thrived. The holograph shifted to images of dense forests, raging seas, and volcanic eruptions, each a testament to Earth's violent beauty and the resilience of those who called it home. The first time we encountered humans, Verrill said, his voice tinged with regret, we mistook them for primitives. He paused, studying the recruits' expectant faces. My people, the Drexer, were proud warriors, accustomed to subjugating lesser species. When we discovered a human colony on the edge of a resource-rich moon, we expected swift submission. His mandibles clicked with irritation. We were wrong. The hologram shifted again, showing scenes of a dense forest moon, where towering trees obscured the terrain. We landed in force, armed with superior technology. We outnumbered them, outgunned them, and yet they defied us. These were no soldiers, just civilians and colonists. Farmers, laborers, scientists, armed with crude projectile weapons, homemade explosives, and traps made from their environment. He leaned closer to the recruits. They didn't fight as we did. They fought to survive. Every ambush, every trap, Every guerrilla strike taught us the true meaning of desperation. I still remember losing half my squad to a pit of sharpened stakes hidden beneath leaves. That wasn't luck. That was human ingenuity. The recruits sat frozen, their nervous energy replaced with solemn realization. Veryl's gaze swept the room. What makes humans so terrifying isn't their weapons or numbers. It's their unique traits, the things you will not see in simulations. First, endurance. Humans push through conditions that would kill most species. Lack of food, hostile terrain, overwhelming odds. None of it deters them. They have a saying, fall 7 times, rise 8. And I've seen them do it. Second, innovation. Humans think on their feet, adapting faster than any species I've ever encountered. Where other species crumble when their plans fail, humans thrive in chaos. During the battle for Helion 9, they used a city sewer system. Yes, it's sewers, to flank my forces and disable our anti-aircraft defenses. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. The recruits fidgeted, their unease mounting. And lastly, their morality of ruthlessness, he said, his voice low. Humans will do the unthinkable if it means victory. On Grelin Prime, a human city under siege destroyed its own water supply to force my forces into retreat. We didn't anticipate it. They were willing to suffer immensely if it meant denying us resources. They fight with the pragmatism of survival, and it makes them dangerous beyond reason. The room was deathly quiet now, the recruits' earlier bravado replaced with growing apprehension. Whispers rippled through the rows as some dared to question the plausibility of Veryl's words. But one look at his battle-scarred face told them there was no embellishment here. They are not like us, Veryl finished gravely, and I hope you'll never have to meet them. When the Drexer launched their preemptive strike on Earth, Veryl began, we thought it would end quickly. Our fleets targeted their largest cities, their spaceports, and supply chains. The devastation was calculated. We assumed their surrender would follow. He paused, his mandibles tightening. But humanity, they didn't react as we expected. Within days they retaliated. And not chaotically or in desperation, but with terrifying coordination. The recruits leaned in as the veteran's voice dropped to a grave tone. Their response came from everywhere. Old satellites repurposed into weapons fired plasma charges into our ships. Civilian vehicles outfitted with rocket launchers struck at our ground troops. Even their so-called unarmed civilians turned homes and buildings into kill zones. Humanity fought with an unmatched fury. They made us pay dearly for every inch of ground we gained. And soon, it wasn't just about holding territory. It was about surviving their relentless counterattacks. Images of wrecked Drexer ships and human civilians bearing improvised arms flickered on the hologram. What we thought was a disorganized species of prey turned out to be something far worse, an apex predator, unifying in the face of annihilation. The veteran paced, his talons clicking against the stone floor. I'll never forget Zenith V, he said, his voice weighted with memory. The hologram shifted to show a fortress nestled in jagged mountains, surrounded by cliffs and dense fog. Our forces fortified this mountain stronghold with layers of defenses, plasma turrets, energy shields, and elite warriors at every choke point. We believed it was impregnable. We were wrong. He gestured, and the hologram revealed ghostly figures moving through the night. Human soldiers. Humans sent a covert team under the cover of darkness. They scaled cliffs, disabled shields, and planted explosives deep within the fortress. Our first warning was an explosion that plunged half the stronghold into chaos. The recruits watched as the projection played out the nightmare. Simultaneously, their main force launched a frontal assault. But this wasn't a mindless charge. It was calculated. They struck where we were weakest, exploiting their superior mobility and discipline to fracture our lines. The hologram flickered again, displaying the infamous night raid. The turning point came when humans used the darkness. They moved like ghosts, silent, precise, unyielding. I remember soldiers abandoning their posts, too terrified to hold the line. Veryl's voice turned grim. By dawn, the fortress had fallen. Human losses were heavy, but their willingness to throw everything into the battle, it shattered our morale. Humanity doesn't just fight with weapons. They fight with fear, Veryl continued, locking eyes with the recruits. They understand how to break their enemies without firing a single shot. The hologram displayed eerie scenes, propaganda leaflets drifting down like snowflakes over an alien encampment, taunting phrases scrawled across them. Humans broadcast cryptic, unnerving messages over our communications, disrupting our troops' focus. They dropped leaflets that mocked our pride, making us question our strength. Their psychological warfare gnawed at us from within. He paused as the recruits shifted uncomfortably. Then, there's their reputation. Entire squads refused to fight after hearing rumors that humans were on the battlefield. Fear, pure, primal fear, became their greatest weapon. The veteran's tone dropped, his gaze distant. I still remember a captured human soldier during one campaign. Our interrogators wanted to understand their strategies, but what shook us wasn't his answers. It was the calmness with which he described their wars. When he explained atrocities committed during Earth's conflicts, nuclear devastation, genocides, trench warfare, he compared it to just another Tuesday. The callous familiarity with death and destruction unnerved us to our core. He turned back to the recruits, his voice filled with quiet intensity. It wasn't just their weapons or tactics. Humans fight with their minds, their resolve. They will sacrifice anything for victory, even their humanity. That's what makes them unstoppable. The recruits flinched, their earlier bravado now replaced by growing dread. Veryl's final words were soft but menacing. If you think their weapons are what make humans dangerous, you've learned nothing. It's their mind, their relentless willingness to sacrifice everything to win, that makes them the most dangerous force in the galaxy. Veryl's voice turned somber as he began, the Gorth Armada, an empire of conquest that spanned dozens of star systems. For centuries, they ruled through fear and domination, crushing any opposition. That is, until they crossed humanity. The hologram displayed the Gorth Empire's proud fleet. Immense warships, their hulls gleaming under distant suns. When the Gorth attempted to colonize a system allied with humanity, they expected resistance, but not what came next. Humanity didn't just engage them in battle. They dismantled them piece by piece. A shift in the hologram showed maps of trade routes. Covert operations targeted the Gortha supply chains. Human agents infiltrated their networks, collapsing their economy. Outposts went silent as resources dried up. By the time the Gorth Armada prepared for open war, they were already weakened. The veterans' gaze darkened. And then came the final battle. Humanity deployed a strategy as old as their history, scorched earth tactics. Pinpoint orbital bombardments wiped out key Gorth planets, cutting reinforcements off at the source. The human fleets, though smaller, fought with such ruthless efficiency that they annihilated the Armada in a matter of days. The recruits stared as the hologram played the destruction of Gorth flagships, leaving only debris in their wake. But it didn't end there, Veryl added quietly. Humanity hunted their leaders to the farthest edges of the galaxy, refusing to negotiate until they surrendered unconditionally. By the time the war was over, the Gorth were no longer an empire. They were a cautionary tale. Veryl stepped back, letting the weight of his words sink in. Not all species fought humanity, he continued. Some chose to ally with them, hoping to avoid their wrath. The hologram now showed various alien species, standing alongside human diplomats and soldiers. For those who stand with humanity, They are fiercely loyal. Humans protect their allies with the same ferocity they use against their enemies. Time and time again, they've intervened to defend their friends, turning the tide of battles against overwhelming odds. But then the tone shifted. However, betrayal is something humanity never forgets or forgives. One alliance I recall fractured when a smaller species rebelled, believing humanity's focus lay elsewhere. That rebellion lasted only days. The hologram flickered to life with images of the rebellion's swift end. Humans infiltrated the rebellion, destabilizing it from within. Leaders vanished overnight. Supply depots exploded and communications networks failed. By the time humanity officially responded, the rebellion was already crushed. Vero paused, his eyes scanning the recruits. No one dared question the loyalty of humanity's allies after that. The lesson was clear. Betray humanity, and they will find you, no matter where you hide. The veteran folded his hands behind his back, his voice soft but resolute. Humans aren't inherently violent, he began, catching the recruits off guard. At their core, they're builders, explorers, dreamers. Given the chance, they'd rather create than destroy. The hologram displayed images of human colonies, thriving cities built on inhospitable worlds, and cultural exchanges with alien allies. When treated with respect, humans become the staunchest allies. They will fight to the death to protect their friends and go to unimaginable lengths to ensure peace and prosperity. But the imagery shifted abruptly to scenes of devastation. Yet, when provoked, when betrayed, their capacity for destruction is unparalleled. Humans possess a drive that defies logic and boundaries. Once they commit to a fight, they won't stop until their enemies are utterly defeated. It's not about pride or vengeance. It's survival, pure and simple. Vero's voice grew cold. This is why we must never underestimate them. They don't act out of anger. They act with purpose. And that purpose is what makes them unstoppable. The veteran turned to face the recruits, his expression weary. "Don't let their smiles fool you," he said, his voice a low growl. "Humans are not the monsters of nightmares. They are the monsters nightmares fear." The recruits sat in stunned silence, their earlier bravado replaced by the heavy weight of understanding. The hologram dimmed, leaving only the veteran's presence looming over the room. The training hall was deathly silent. The recruits sat motionless, their laughter and restlessness a distant memory, replaced by an oppressive unease. Their eyes lingered on the veteran, who stood with his hands clasped behind his back, surveying the room. The scars that crisscrossed his hardened features seemed to deepen in the dim light. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and heavy. "You think this training prepares you for war," he said, letting the weight of his words settle. "Drills, formations, simulations, they mean nothing when you face humans. The best advice I can give you is this. Pray. Pray that you never see them on the battlefield. Pray that if you do, it's their mercy you encounter, not their wrath." The recruits exchanged uneasy glances. Their bravado from earlier was gone, replaced by dread. The veteran's stories had planted seeds of doubt, some questioning if they were truly prepared for war, others wondering if humans could possibly be as terrible as described. As the recruits filed out of the hall, the murmurs began. "Could they really be that ruthless?" one whispered. Another voice, quiet but trembling, replied, "If even half of what he said is true, I don't think I want to find out." The camera pans to the veteran, now alone in the empty hall. His gaze shifted to a holographic projection glowing faintly in the air, an old, grainy recording from a human battlefield. A soldier in battered armor stood amidst chaos and ruin, blood smeared across their face. They stared into the camera, eyes cold and unflinching, as the audio crackled with their voice. "This," the soldier said with a grim smile, "this is just another day for us.